It's easy to start. Everyone starts, but only a few finish. The gyms are full in January and empty by March. Everyone says they'll change their life, until life asks for the price of change. Most people give up right before the miracle happens. But here's the question I want you to think about. What if you're the one who doesn't? What if you decide today that you'll be the exception? Because if you can hold on just a little longer than most people do, if you can push through that voice that says, quit, you'll find yourself standing where most people never reach. That's what this talk is about. Not just why they give up, but why you won't. Let me tell you something powerful. Success doesn't come to those who start fast. It comes to those who finish strong. Every dream begins with enthusiasm. Every goal begins with excitement. But time has a way of testing how much you truly want something. Most people don't fail because they don't have the talent or the idea or the opportunity. They fail because they stop. They stop showing up. They stop believing. And slowly, they start convincing themselves that maybe it wasn't meant to be. But you're different because you're here listening, learning, growing. You've already proven that your desire to improve is stronger than your comfort. And that's why you won't give up. Not this time, not anymore. Stay with me through this message, because before we're done, you'll understand why most people quit halfway and exactly how you can train your mind never to do the same. Pain has a way of convincing us that it's forever. When it arrives, it doesn't knock on the door politely. It bursts in, sits down, and makes itself comfortable. It whispers in your ear, "This is your new life now." Most people believe it. They feel the pressure, the disappointment, the slow results, and think, maybe this isn't worth it. And that's when the quitting begins. Not because the goal was impossible, but because the moment got too uncomfortable. See, most people never understand that pain is not the end of the road. It's the toll you pay to pass through. You can't avoid it. You can only decide whether to let it stop you or shape you. When you start something new, a goal, a dream, a change, everything feels exciting. The vision is clear. You can see yourself succeeding. The first few steps are light, full of hope. But somewhere down the line, the enthusiasm fades. The results slow down. The applause disappears. The people who cheered for you at the beginning go quiet. And then comes the silence, the kind that makes you question yourself. It's in that silence that most people turn back. They look at the distance ahead, the energy it will take, and they decide that the pain of persistence is greater than the reward of success. But here's what they miss: pain is temporary, but quitting makes it permanent. The soreness you feel from working towards something real will fade. The doubt you feel in the middle of the struggle will fade. The exhaustion, the frustration, the long nights. All of it will pass. But if you stop now, the regret will stay. Because every time you give up, you're teaching yourself that it's okay to surrender when it gets hard. And that lesson becomes a habit. It seeps into everything you do. You stop pushing as far, stop trying as hard, stop believing as deeply. Those who win in life aren't immune to pain. They've simply learned to interpret it differently. When it hurts, they don't say, "This is the end." They say, "This is the process." They understand that pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. Every great achievement has a price tag, and that price is discomfort. The moment you accept that, your perspective changes. Instead of avoiding pain, you start asking, what is this teaching me? Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's teaching you humility. Maybe it's teaching you resilience. The kind of strength that doesn't show up in easy seasons, but is forged in the hardest moments. There's a moment in every pursuit where the voice inside your head becomes your biggest opponent. It tells you to stop, to take a break, to try again later. And most people obey that voice. They let it dictate their potential. But that voice doesn't speak truth. It speaks comfort. And comfort is the enemy of growth. The human mind is wired to seek safety, to stay within what's familiar. But nothing great was ever built in comfort. Growth lives on the edge of pain. That sharp, uncertain edge where you either back away or push through. Think of every great story you've ever heard. The athlete, the artist, the entrepreneur, the parent who sacrificed everything for a better future. What do they all have in common? Pain. Every one of them met it, faced it, and refused to bow. They didn't run from it, they ran with it, because they knew that every ounce of discomfort was shaping something inside them that comfort never could. Character. Pain teaches you to be patient when things don't happen fast. It teaches you to stay calm when everything around you feels uncertain. It teaches you to keep your faith when the evidence of success hasn't yet shown up. When you're in the middle of pain, it feels like it's lasting forever. The minutes stretch, the days drag, and your heart feels heavier with each step. But here's the thing, it's not forever. It's just a season. The problem is, most people quit before the season ends. They walk away right when life is preparing to reward them. It's like planting a seed and walking away before the first sprout breaks the ground. You don't see what's happening beneath the surface. The growth, the roots, the unseen progress. Pain works the same way. It's doing something inside you even when you can't see it. You might not realize it now, but every time you choose to endure, you're building something invisible, a foundation. You're strengthening your ability to handle more, to stand taller, to believe longer. Most people never get to experience the version of themselves that pain was trying to create because they quit before the transformation was complete. They see the fire and run from it, not realizing the fire was meant to refine them. The only way to become stronger is to survive the heat. In those moments when you want to give up, when it feels like everything is working against you, remember that this is the part where most people stop. This is the part where the crowd thins, where the weak step aside, where the average decide it's too much. But if you can stay just a little longer in the struggle, if you can breathe through it, walk through it, trust through it, you'll discover something rare. Most people give up not because they can't handle the pain, but because they never learned how to look past it. Pain is a lens. Through it, you see either the obstacle or the opportunity. You decide which one it becomes. The same pressure that breaks one person can build another. It's not the pain that defines you. It's your interpretation of it. When you start seeing pain as a sign that you're moving forward, not backward, you'll stop resisting it. You'll begin to respect it. And in that respect lies your power. Because now, instead of being a victim of your pain, you become a student of it. So when you're tired, when the results aren't showing, when it feels like no one understands, remember this truth. Every person who has ever accomplished something meaningful walked through this same valley. The only difference between those who made it and those who didn't is that one group stopped and the other kept walking. The journey isn't about avoiding the pain, it's about outlasting it. And when you understand that pain is not a signal to stop, but a signal that you're getting closer, your entire relationship with difficulty changes. Most people give up because they believe the pain means they're losing. But the truth is, it means they're growing. Growth has a cost. It asks for patience when you want speed, effort when you want ease, and faith when you want proof. The pain you feel is not punishment. It's progress disguised as struggle. And once you start to see it that way, the urge to quit begins to fade, replaced by something much stronger, endurance. We live in a time where everything seems to move faster than ever before. You can order food with a tap, get answers with a search, and see someone become famous overnight. Somewhere along the way, we began to expect life to work that way too. We started believing that success should come quickly, that effort should pay off immediately, that results should match enthusiasm. And when they don't, people quit. They call it failure, when in truth, it's just impatience wearing a disguise. Most people give up not because they can't handle the work, but because they can't handle waiting for the reward. When you start something meaningful, a goal, a dream, a vision, there's a burst of excitement. You can feel the fire inside you. You imagine what success will look like, how it will feel, how others will see you once you achieve it. That vision gives you energy in the beginning. But as time passes and the results aren't as fast or as visible as you expected, the fire starts to fade. The days start to blend together. You start wondering if it's even working. That's the moment where most people start to drift away. They start looking for something new, something easier, something that gives them a quicker sense of accomplishment. But every great success story hides a long season of invisibility. The roots always grow before the flower blooms. The foundation is always laid before the walls rise. The truth is, progress happens quietly long before the world can see it. The bodybuilder lifting weights in silence, the writer rewriting pages that no one will ever read, the entrepreneur working on an idea when no one believes in it. They all go through that phase where nothing seems to move. And that's where most people quit, not because they weren't capable, but because they didn't understand that the process was working, even when it wasn't showing. There's a danger in expecting quick results. It creates false deadlines. You start telling yourself, if this doesn't work in 3 months, I'll stop. But success doesn't read your calendar. Growth doesn't happen on your schedule. You can't rush the harvest. The farmer doesn't plant a seed and dig it up every week to check if it's growing. He trusts the process. He waters it, nurtures it, protects it from the storm, knowing that time and patience will do their part. That's the mindset of those who succeed. They commit to the process even when they can't see the promise. Most people, however, live in cycles of starting and stopping. They try something, don't see immediate results, and move on to the next thing. Each time they start over, they lose the momentum they had. They dig 1-inch holes in 100 different places instead of going deep enough in one spot to reach water. They keep searching for a faster way, not realizing that consistency was the fastest way all along. You can't build mastery without repetition. You can't create impact without consistency. Every time you walk away too soon, you reset the clock on your progress. There's a quiet truth that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. The extraordinary are simply those who kept going long enough for the ordinary to give up. They waited through the dry seasons, through the silent nights, through the moments when nothing seemed to work. They learned to keep their faith alive when the evidence of progress was invisible. They understood that time was not their enemy. It was their ally, because with time, effort compounds. With time, small actions accumulate into massive results. Think of a bamboo tree. For the first few years after planting it, you water it, nurture it, and see nothing. No sign of growth above the ground. For years, it looks like nothing is happening. But then, almost suddenly, it shoots up several feet in a matter of weeks. It looks like it grew overnight, but in truth, it had been growing the entire time, underground, building roots strong enough to support its future height. That's how success works. While the world sees nothing, you're building strength beneath the surface. You're preparing for the moment when your growth becomes visible. Most people never make it to that stage because they stop watering the seed too soon. They lose patience. They tell themselves it's not meant to be. They start comparing their slow progress to someone else's highlight reel. They see the bamboo when it's tall, not realizing it spent years unseen. And in doing so, they rob themselves of what could have been. But you have to remind yourself that invisible progress is still progress. Just because you can't see, it doesn't mean it's not working. Every effort you make is adding up. Every day you persist is moving you closer, even if the distance feels endless right now. There's a certain kind of strength that grows only in those who endure the wait. Waiting teaches patience, and patience teaches trust. It teaches you to find joy in the process rather than the outcome. When you stop obsessing over how long it takes and start focusing on how much you're growing, something changes inside you. You become less desperate for quick rewards and more devoted to steady progress. You start realizing that every small step, every quiet day, every unnoticed effort is part of the masterpiece being built. People often say they're waiting for their time to come, but time is waiting for them to be ready. The delay isn't a denial, it's development. It's preparing you for what you asked for. The longer it takes, the deeper the roots grow. The deeper the roots, the stronger the foundation. And when it finally happens, you'll realize that the waiting wasn't wasted. It was working on you as much as you were working toward it. You see, success isn't about how quickly you get there. It's about how well you handle the in-between. It's easy to show up when everything is working. It's harder to stay when it's not. But that's where character is formed. That's where real commitment is proven. The time you spend in the unseen seasons is what makes you capable of handling the spotlight when it comes. Because if success arrived too soon, you wouldn't be strong enough to hold it. The struggle gives you the strength to sustain the success. So, when you find yourself working hard and seeing little to no results, don't assume it's not working. Remember that results are like shadows. They follow only when you keep moving. The moment you stop, they disappear. Keep going, keep building, keep trusting. What looks like stillness is often silent progress. The greatest transformations happen quietly. The most important breakthroughs are invisible before they're undeniable. There will be days when you'll question everything. You'll wonder if it's worth it, if you're wasting your time, if you're the only one struggling this hard. You'll feel tempted to give in to frustration and go back to what's easy, familiar, predictable. But every time you resist that temptation, you're reinforcing something powerful: persistence. Persistence is what bridges the gap between effort and outcome. It's the invisible glue that holds your dream together while the results are catching up. It's easy to be patient for a day or a week, but real growth asks for more than that. It asks for your trust, your faith, your consistency, even when there's nothing to celebrate yet. You must be willing to stay long enough for time to reveal what effort has been building. Because the truth is, success is slow until it's sudden. Nothing happens for years, and then everything happens in one season. The people who experience that moment aren't lucky. They're simply the ones who didn't stop before it came. Every person who has ever achieved something great had a reason so powerful it pulled them through the storms. Most people don't quit because they're weak or untalented. They quit because they never had a strong enough reason to keep going when things got hard. Motivation fades, discipline wavers, but a deep why, that endures. When you know why you're doing something, when it means something beyond comfort, beyond applause, beyond ego, there's no quit left in you. The truth is, people who give up aren't missing ability, they're missing purpose. Purpose is what turns ordinary effort into extraordinary endurance. It's what wakes you up when the alarm clock feels too early, what pushes you through when your body says no, what whispers keep going when the results still haven't shown up. When your why is strong enough, you'll find a way through every obstacle. When it's weak, every obstacle becomes a reason to stop. That's why most people drift through life without finishing what they start. They're chasing something shallow, something they don't really believe in. They want the recognition, not the responsibility. They want the outcome, not the process. And when the process tests them, they realize they never really wanted it in the first place. There's a big difference between wanting something and being called to something. When you're merely interested, you'll do it when it's convenient. But when you're called, you'll do it no matter what it costs. Your why transforms duty into devotion. You stop asking, "How long will this take?" and start saying, "As long as it takes." You stop waiting for the perfect conditions because you've decided that the purpose is greater than your comfort. That's the shift that separates the few who persist from the many who surrender. When you build your why on external things, approval, fame, money, you set yourself up to fail. Because the moment those things disappear, your drive disappears with them. The moment people stop clapping, you stop moving. But when your why is internal, rooted in meaning, it can't be taken from you. You might lose motivation, you might lose support, you might even lose direction for a while, but you won't lose purpose, and that purpose will guide you back every time. Think about the people who refuse to quit no matter how hard it gets. The mother working 3 jobs to give her children a better life, The student studying by candlelight to change his family's future. The athlete training before sunrise because he promised himself he'd never waste his gift. These people have something inside them that no amount of failure can erase. Their why is stronger than their excuses. It's not about luxury or recognition. It's about something personal, something sacred. When your dream is tied to your heart, it becomes more than a goal. It becomes a mission. The problem is, most people never take the time to define that mission. They rush into goals without asking, why does this matter to me? And when the excitement fades, so does their effort. They look for external motivation to replace internal meaning. They scroll, they compare, they consume inspiration like medicine, hoping it'll fix their lack of direction. But motivation can only light the match. Meaning keeps the fire burning. You have to dig deeper than just, I want to succeed. You have to ask, why do I want to succeed? What difference will it make? Who will it help? Who will I become? When you find that kind of clarity, something changes in you. You stop looking for shortcuts because you understand the journey is part of your story. You stop worrying about how long it takes because you know what you're fighting for. You stop caring about who believes in you because you already believe in your purpose. A strong why gives you focus when distractions try to pull you away, courage when fear tries to shut you down, and persistence when progress feels slow. Every great transformation begins the moment you decide that your reason is bigger than your resistance. You might be tired, discouraged, uncertain. But when your purpose is clear, those emotions don't control you anymore. You learn to act despite how you feel. You realize that discipline doesn't come from motivation, it comes from meaning. When your why is deep enough, you don't need someone to remind you to stay on track. The fire inside becomes stronger than the noise outside. There will always be moments where you question yourself. You'll wonder if it's worth it, if you're on the right path, if your sacrifices are too great. But that's when your why speaks loudest. It reminds you of the reason you started, the people counting on you, the future you promised yourself. It tells you to take one more step when everything in you says stop. Most people quit in those moments because they let temporary emotions overpower eternal purpose. But emotions change, purpose doesn't. Your why doesn't have to be something grand. It doesn't have to impress anyone. It just has to mean something to you. Maybe it's proving to yourself that you can keep a promise you once broke. Maybe it's building a life your parents could only dream of. Maybe it's becoming the kind of person your younger self would be proud of. Whatever it is, make it personal, make it real, and remind yourself of it daily. Because when you forget your why, your energy fades, your confidence drops, and your direction gets cloudy. There's a reason why most people live on repeat. They wake up, go through motions, chase things they don't really care about, and wonder why they feel empty. It's not because they don't have goals. It's because their goals lack meaning. They're running toward something they don't love or away from something they fear. But when your life becomes purpose, driven instead of pressure, driven, everything changes. You no longer need the world to validate you because you've already validated yourself with your effort and consistency. You'll start to notice that the people who persist the longest are rarely the loudest. They're not always the most talented or the most gifted. They're the ones who wake up every day and remember their reason. While others look for motivation, they look at their mission. While others chase comfort, they chase growth. They've made peace with the fact that purpose requires pain, and that the pain is proof they're still in the fight. There's power in knowing what you're willing to suffer for, because the moment you identify that, you stop running from discomfort. You start running toward development. You no longer ask, is this hard? You ask, is this worth it? And when the answer is yes, the difficulty doesn't matter anymore. That's the strength of a person who knows their why. They don't measure the struggle. They measure the significance. If you look closely, every person who's ever done something extraordinary had one thing in common: they attached meaning to their mission. They didn't work for applause, they worked for alignment. They didn't chase motivation, they built conviction. They didn't focus on being seen, they focused on becoming. Their why became the compass that guided them through confusion, the anchor that held them steady in chaos, the light that showed them where to go when the path grew dark. When your why is clear, your how becomes easier. You'll find a way. You'll adapt, adjust, learn, grow, and stretch. You'll stop fearing failure because you'll understand that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process of fulfilling your purpose. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every delay a reminder that you're still being shaped. And when people around you start to fade, when they start giving up, you won't follow them because your why won't let you.